into the different districts here, as you see.
Mr. Paradise, can you, all right, so our overlays,
Correct.
no historical, no,
Correct. I'll be able to see here in a minute. What they have done is they've incorporated the design overlay into the requirements for the particular zoning districts. So, you know, an overlay is you have your base zoning and then the overlay. Well, now you just have the base zoning, and as part of the base zoning requirements, you have design criteria. Particularly in the downtown districts, and then there's also a corridor going up the hill. There's design standards. If you look at 6.5, well, if you look at 6.3.5, it talks about the architectural design, and then design standards and materials generally on what we look for. But we really get into it at 6.5, design standards for downtown mixed use 1 and 2.
That was a comment I had when we did this initial review. I think 6.5 was just for mixed use 1, because then in 6.6, MU1 shows back up. And I think 6.6 is supposed to have downtown mixed use 2, and 6.5 is supposed to be downtown mixed use 1.
Good catch. So 6.5 should not include mixed use 2, right? Or mixed use 1.
Not include mixed use 2. Should be mixed use 1. Six should be DTMU 2.
And then
Two, and then what about 3? Is it?
3 never got. We talked about doing a 3, but then we just addressed it with the building heights.
Oh, okay,
As the
okay.
exception in 2.
all right, 6.6 is downtown mixed use 2, right? Is what it should be.
Yep.
And there's just one other general thing. This is probably the chapter that most of the public comments and getting rid of overlays that most people will come to, is it not? From the
Correct.
public? And so I really
From-
like the pictures, and so just the thought, if there are any other places that there may be stick pictures in, since this is the place where most, I think, of the public will come in, I think that's a good demonstration, even some of the kind of, the one where it's, for example, span wire is not permitted. If there's anything that has tended to be a little uncomfortable for people, a picture of what is not permitted in other places may be helpful in this chapter. I don't know what it is, but I know that was kind of, if I recall, because it's been so long, that most of the conversation would probably go back to this chapter for public comment.
and,
And basically, these, you know, office commercial, neighborhood commercial, general commercial, and CPMU, these design criteria would fall into all of those. It's not just along a road.
Design elements, that does not incorporate, wall art,
Wall,
wall art.
The
like
murals,
murals.
The public art pieces.
those are included in the signage
Signage.
chapter.
And we had an overlay, district that was, right down from the post office, all the way, to, street, right before you start going back up the hill, going to Bunting, that cut through. You know where the pool place is?
Mhm.
Across the street was a overlay district that we had some hardware in there.
Yeah.
Now that is going away, and it's in the design elements, would that have been a problem? We were having something to do with parking and the building in itself.
You would probably still have had the parking issue. I don't think you would have had the, excuse me, I think I think what you are referring to had to do with the building size. And, we don't get into the building size.
So that problem would have been pretty much eliminated.
Yep, you would probably, in some other portions of the code, you may have still had some issues with the parking. Because based on the size, you're gonna have to have parking.
Y'all may not understand what Mr. Paradise and I was speaking of. We had an issue, and we wanted to comply, but it would have been almost like spot zoning to get this particular building, which was a termite location. And so we really needed to eliminate the corridor from that point all the way to the other street. And we never got around to doing it. And so the gentleman was a little bit perturbed that we could not get him to where he wanted to, but we were trying to be consistent and not be judge and jury for this location and then judge and jury for that location. But if this would have taken care of that, then that's a good thing. Picking winners and losers, that's what we use.
Anything else before we get to 7? Now, and I will warn you as we go into chapter 7, the steering committee spent most of a meeting on this one chapter. So, I do have some comments there. First one I had was 7.2.2. I think, Mr. Harbison, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 7.2.2 was supposed to be changed so that it would only exempted open space requirements, not landscaping as well.
That's right.
And is that what the committee, planning commission wants to move forward with?
I think that including landscaping for that, I think was an oversight. When I went back and looked at the code, our current code, those are the exemptions for open space. But just for reference, somebody wants to build a 10,000 square foot office, they're exempt from landscape ordinance, and I don't think that's our intent. And actually, current code was 1,000 on that as well, 7221B.
722.
Development less than 1,000 square feet would be exempt. Current code is 1,000.
So we're taking out landscaping in 72, and we're talking about open space.
Correct.
And then landscaping is adjusted. We're on those.
So this is anything in a downtown district, so anything, trying to think of, where the carpet shop is, that would be exempt from any landscape requirements.
And the thought for that is you can build property line to property line, if I believe. That's, if I'm correct. Because you're not requiring parking in the downtown. So there's not the parking, basically the whole lot could be a building.
This is more of a process question because I need to step away.
Uh-huh.
So we've held elections, but I'm assuming that for this meeting, Vice Chair Key will need to adjourn the study session for me.
I think it's whatever the commission desires, Dr. Crawford.
Okay.
It's a work session, so it's informal.
Okay. If you don't mind, is your last act, Vice Chair Key? If you could take over the study session and adjourn it for me.
Okay, not a problem.
And thank you all again.